let's start our next session. So the next session is on self-development. Who's excited to hear about that?
Oh yes, definitely.
Sure. Thank you. Yes, I am too as well. I love sharing this part of the program with you, with the people that I have worked with in the past as well. So just a recap on the morning session, we went through mental health, we spoke about the stigma, we spoke about the issues around it, we spoke about the barriers and the restrictions women from culturally and linguistically diverse communities are facing. And we also spoke about emotions at a deeper level. We talked about community leaders, we talked about the support services that are available, and so much more. So now that we're moving on to the next session, if you've got any questions around what we discussed in the morning, then please reach out to myself or my team, and we'll definitely be able to help you there, because this is not just about this one program, it's not just about this one workshop. Now that we've connected, now that we've built a relationship, we're here for you, to support you. More so what we welcome is that you can then go and share the value add you got from us this morning with other people. Is that okay? Because we want to, yes, so we want to create a rippling effect. And the way that we learn even more at a deeper level is when we go and teach it to somebody else. So whatever you've learned here, whether the tools or resources were really relevant for yourself or whether it was something new, go ahead and speak to somebody else about it, and you'll find that you really understand it at a deeper level. And that's part of self-development as well. So when we're talking about self-development, what do you think we mean? Anybody?
Anything to do with understanding yourself better, understanding what your motivations are, what your thinking patterns are, basically understanding your belief system, your values, what you hold dear.
Yes.
Applying those to whatever you're doing, to basically synchronize your personal life, work life, school, whatever it may be, career.
Yes.
With whatever you actually grasp about what is motivating you to get the achievement and the goals that you're after.
Fantastic. That's a wonderful answer, and you've nailed it. It's exactly that. And for everybody, it could be all of those things, and for some people, it might just be one or two snippets. So around a little history on my self-development, I've been in the self-development arena now for 35 years. It's something that I continually do. I support other organizations around this area as well. But over the last probably 10 years, more so around people that have gone through any form of trauma, mental health, any form of compromise in their thinking or their mindset, because they actually do self-development at a different level. Now for me, when I started my self-development journey, I'm passionate, I'm hyper, I just dived in and did what I needed to do. For some people, it's really important that they can heal from the grief that they've traveled through, to not clear the path, but at least to give it a positive meaning that will then help them to move on, so that they can then start working through what they really want in life. And that's what we talk about in self-development. It's about the self and developing the self. Now, what's happened with the past is that we've had so many things happen in our life, especially if you've been a victim of trauma or hardship or mental health, abuse, inequality. All these things have stacked up within you. And over time, women, that's why we call this a saddlebag, women have a tendency of holding on to things, especially if they're calm, collected, if they're respectful of other people. They very rarely find the confidence to talk about what it is that's going on in here, or even contradict somebody if they're not talking the right thing. They will hold back. They won't say, well, I don't really agree with that, I think it's this, and not in an argumentative way. We always want to accept what somebody's saying to us, we thank them, thank you for sharing that. And I was thinking that you may want to consider this. So there's lots of ways of handling the way that we talk to people, and it's different for all of us, especially because we're from a culturally, linguistically diverse background, and depending on our upbringing, depending on the role models we've had, depending on the learnings, what I'm going through and what I'm learning today to what Steph might be learning today, our understandings and the meanings that we give it are going to be totally different. For some it might be the same, but we all learn differently. All right, so let's get started. Self-development is about the self. Development is developing something. So if you think about a building, what's the first thing that we do in a building?
You create a plan.
That's right, you create a plan. And for a plan, you need to have goals, right? Every leader, and I can say this, there's a lot of successful leaders out there. Every leader would have a plan. They would have a goal. They would have innovative goals because they know where they want to go. And even during that time, they may make mistakes, there may be risks involved, but the thing is they don't stop following it through. They know where they're headed. So for example, for us, if we want to be creating and growing and developing, the first thing we need is a plan, and the plan starts with creating the foundation. So has everybody seen those high-rise buildings? They're not just standing on the earth as we put them, right? There's a lot of work that goes underneath for that building to be standing strong on it. And it's the same with us as leaders, because we're all leaders here. Everybody was born as a leader. We've already got the tools and the resources to build that foundation. And it's up to you to sort of unleash that, not even sort of, you've got to unleash it so that you can start building that foundation within here. And then you can have your building yourself as high as you want, one of the greatest leaders ever. That's the goal. We want you to be a strong self-leader. So we've got a question here. I'm going to get you all to just work through this exercise. Be open to it. And put down for this question, what your heart's desires and dreams are. Now, for some of you, you may just put down what's there right now. I want you to go deeper. I want you to go even further before all these things happen to you. What was it that that little child within you wanted to actually live life as? And the most important question that's in your book is, who were you meant to be before others told you who you should be? Does that question make sense? Who were you? And it could be that, who did you want to be before others told you who you should be? So I'll give you a few moments to answer that question, and then we'll have a group discussion, and then we'll go on to the next stage. All right, so welcome back, everybody. That was a great group discussion that we had. It was really interesting to hear your insights and answering that question. I know many of you were emotional because it triggered off things that as a child you really wanted to do. Like for me, when I was 5, all I ever wanted to do was become a nurse. And that's nowhere where my path went as a nurse, but I studied psychology. Interestingly enough, to survive in this world, I did my master's in accounting. And it was that job that really helped me survive, helped me pay for my way and look after my children. But more so, it was that job that also increased my passion for doing the community work that I do. Now, why did I study psychology? Why do I practice as a clinical neuropractitioner? Why do I do clinical hypnotherapy work? It's because of the deep desire I have for wanting to help people live a better quality life. Now, my belief is that we're all here in this world to help each other and help other people. And I have this thing that I call like a field of favor for me. My people, my group, how can I help them? We all have our little areas that we can focus on. So whether it's your job, whether it's your business, whether if you're a stay-at-home, really a freelancer not doing anything, everybody has their own element. And in this element, the reason that this element exists is because of you. So we're going back to the self-development again. And there's three areas of, I can say this, there's three areas that if we're looking to grow ourselves, we need to ensure that we're in good stead to make that happen. So the first thing is our physiology. Excuse my writing. Now, who thinks physiology is important for self-development?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Physiology means that how are you in your physical body? How are you breathing? Are you healthy? What are you eating? What are you thinking? Your mindset, everything that's associated with your physical body contributes to the life that you're living. And this includes your emotions, your mental health, your social abilities, worrying, stressing, being happy, joyful, laughter, everything around your physical body impacts your ability to live your life at a higher level. And I'll just add to that, bear with me 1 second. So yeah, we mentioned diet, exercise, hydration. Water is so important. I start with a glass of lemon water most mornings. There might be the odd occasion that I forget, but every morning I start with a 16 fluid ounce of water, because for me, and this is for a lot of bodies, it flushes out the toxins that came to sit at the top overnight, just like brushing our teeth, right? So we want to cleanse our inside system. It flushes that out, gives you a new digestive system, your liver, everything, and gives you the energy that you need to be able to starting your day afresh. The next thing is about your movement. How much are you moving? Did you know that a 5 to 20 minute walk can give you energy for up to 3 to 4 hours, even if it's a brisk walk? Get your body moving, shake it out, move your legs. The reason there are a lot of people that are suffering with arthritis, cramps at the age of 50 onwards is because they haven't used their physical body to its maximum. So movement is really important. The way you breathe is important. If you're breathing just to the top of your chest, then you're not even using the full capacity of your lung. When you're breathing, you want to ensure that that diaphragm is coming out, that it's getting to the bottom of the lungs. Just if you want to see an example of the perfect person breathing, have a look at a baby when they're sleeping and you'll see it's the tummy that's coming up. Have a look at a cat when they're sleeping, you'll see it's their tummy that's coming up. Over time, because we're all rushing around so much, we even sometimes forget to breathe. So if, you know, I'd say consciously, just monitor that. I'll be driving and something will click and I'm like, I haven't taken a deep breath in for a little while. I'm just driving. So I'm starving my body of oxygen. Your body lives on oxygen. It lives on water. You've got to be doing these things mindfully. We're very, very fortunate that we have something within us, our subconscious, our unconscious, that keeps our heart ticking, that keeps us, you know, it keeps the breathing happening. But if we can do it consciously, my friends, it's really going to improve your physiology. So the second part we're looking at is, what is the language patterns that you're using? And I was a victim of this pretty much a lot, as in that, for example, I have an expert in digital management. She's my digital manager. And when she's talking to me, especially at the beginning when she started talking to me, I'd be like, I can't do this. I'm never going to understand this. This is not my forte. But that doesn't mean that I don't understand it. I don't want to do it, but it doesn't mean that I don't understand the concept. So yes, it took her a little while to get me into a position to understand the dialect she's using with me. And I feel at peace now that, oh, okay, I get it. This, I get it, that, I get that's what that is. And it's important because it's what's keeping the Women's Mentoring Foundation going. It's, you know, she's an expert in setting up systems. If I didn't have that foundation, if I didn't have that system, it's going to stop us from doing what else we need to do out there. It's going to prevent me from delivering. So don't always knock yourself back on something that you don't have an awareness by saying, I can't, or I won't, or I shouldn't, or no way, or I'm not good enough. This is a really critical one. A lot of people use this. I am not good enough, especially are victims of mental health or abuse or any form of trauma, because it's embedded in their head. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but it happened to me. Like, I had somebody in my family that would be constantly criticizing things and telling me that I wasn't, you know, why am I doing that? I don't have any common sense. And I just sort of I went down in my unconscious thinking that I'm never going to be good enough for this person. And I realized that I was then practicing that emotion, that mindset in everything else. So in the corporate environment, I'm a pretty, you know, without ego or arrogance, I'm a pretty good speaker. I mean, I used to work for the Treasury, the tax department, and I used to clearly tell people how to pay tax to the maximum. And when I met this person, all of a sudden my whole physiology, my language patterns, everything went down. I was so conscious of what to say. I was so conscious of what to wear because I was constantly being criticized on my physique. I was too fat, I was too ugly, my hair looked stupid. So, you know, I'd make sure everything was covered. No, that's a no-go. You don't have to put abuse up from anybody. This is you. You are perfect in every way that you possibly could be. You're beautiful, you are made for the right thing, and you've got the best future coming to you. So don't let what other people think, if it's coming with bad intent, impact you. If they're good, you trust them and they're coming from a place of wisdom, and I use wisdom. If they're coming from a place of wisdom, you know they mean well, then yes, take it on board. But only you can choose what you decide to listen to and what you take on board. Take the feedback. Don't ever knock feedback. Feedback is important. You make the choice that's going to help you live life at a better level. Is that okay? Can I get everybody to vouch for that? Yes? Excellent. All right, so we have our physiology, our language, and then we have our focus. What are you focusing on?
If whatever you focus is what basically you attract to you and what actually realizes in your life, whatever happens in your life. So the more you focus on the positive, the more you're going to attract positive experiences, positive people, positive situations, whatever.
That's right.
It's extremely important that you limit anything that is a negative, whether it's a focus, whether it's a limiting belief, whether it's limited language, the language that you use, basically the tone that you use can be something that limits you, can be something that holds you back. So
That's
the
right.
more you focus on whatever is positive in any of these areas, will make the rest of your experience and your life much better.
Absolutely. So our focus is a magnet. Whatever you focus on is going to bring to you exactly what you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on more abuse, if you're focusing on lack of focus, if you're focusing on lack of confidence, if you're preventing yourself from moving forward, if you believe that you don't have what it takes, then that's exactly the direction that you're going to have. So we want to be really mindful of our focus. And focus is all this. We focus on our physiology, our body. We focus on the language that we use. And then we focus on what is the life that we want to live. What is the outcome that we want for our life? All these things all contribute to your self-development. So we've got the next question now, next exercise. If you just turn to page 3, I believe it is. Yeah. So first of all, I'd like for you to answer the question, where are you in your physiology? Be absolutely honest. As soon as we acknowledge that this is where I am, I'm not exercising enough, I'm not drinking enough water, we can then find a solution. So please, please, please be honest. The second question is your focus. So what are your values? There's a question there about values, and there's a question there about beliefs, which I will expand on. And then the language pattern. So is it your belief, or is it a global belief, or is it something that somebody's told you, and is it yours? So let's give you an example of language patterns. If I was to say that everybody in the world thinks I'm not good enough, as her coach or the mentor, the first question I'd ask her was, everybody? Really? So everybody in the world knows you? So that's a global belief, a very generalized language pattern. If they were to say that, you know, my ex thought I was not good enough, that's different, because that's what the ex thought. It doesn't mean that I think that, because I think you're perfect and I think you've got the ability to get even better. Or all the people that I know think that I'm dumb. Or I'm never going to get this. I will never understand this. Never? Or do you want to give yourself some time and maybe approach it in a different way? Maybe do you want to reach out to me and I can explain it to you in a different way so that you do understand? So watch the language pattern. So they're the 3 questions. I'll just talk about the beliefs and the values. So your values, literally, you'll see most organizations, individuals, 4 values. Now for WMF, one of our values is integrity. Why do we use integrity? I think as a harm prevention organization, it's really crucial for us, because most of us, including myself, have been through some form of trauma or victimization or bullying or hardship or indirect abuse. And the abuse has usually come from people that I've trusted. Like just 3.5 years ago, I solely, and I lost my whole livelihood. Yes, I did. I really lost my livelihood, and that was the birth of the Women's Mentoring Foundation. So I thought about, what did I do during that time that got me into that situation? And one of the first things was that I absolutely trusted this person. They had the words of wisdom, but they weren't actually applying it. And I could see it, but because they printed this whole beautiful picture and I hadn't healed from my pain from the past, I decided to choose the picture. Had I allowed myself to hear from all the traumas of the past, I would have been in a wiser position. I would also had the discernment to know that, well, they're not actually going to really deliver, even though that they're saying all this. And I suppose one of the other things for me was that they had 2 very depressed children, so that was one of the things, you know, one of the reasons that I did trust them. I thought, you know, I can help them, I can help the child. It was a mistake, but it was a journey I had to travel through, so that I could deliver today. So where am I going with this? Integrity is one of the top values for the Women's Mentoring Foundation, because we can have honesty, we can have truthfulness. Honesty really means, you know, for a lot of us, is that we're honest with the people that we deal with. We're being truthful with everything that we say. But for me, integrity is that you're honest with yourself. So if we say something, we're going to deliver. We're honest with ourselves so that we can be honest with you as well. It's not just I'm going to tell you this is the truth, this is what we're doing. And then if I say to myself that, okay, I'm going to be making sure that I do a 5-minute walk every day and I don't do that, well, that's not being honest, right? And if I cannot be the role model for you or the leader for you, then what's the point? So integrity for me, our team, it's all about us being honest with ourselves first. So we are living this and we are developing ourselves so that we can ensure we're giving you the best opportunity to do this as well. All right, and then the belief system is about limiting beliefs. And again, it's associated with your focus and your language and your physiology. That what is a belief that you have about yourself that's stopping you from moving forward? We do board breaking sessions, and a lot of the beliefs that we have behind that board is that fear comes into it a lot. There's a fear that I am going to fail at this. There's a fear that I can't take a risk. There's a fear because I did this in the past, it didn't work, and it's going to be the same for the future. So these are all limiting beliefs. My limiting beliefs was, and especially when I came here in Australia, was I could feel people judging me. They knew my background, they knew the academic background I had, they knew the community background, they also knew the story I'd traveled through and the fall downs that I had in the past. Yet when I was in front of people that I trusted, I could always feel that I was being judged or opinionated, and in my heart I knew that this wasn't the crowd that was going to help me move forward. However, I had a belief system that I had to be in that crowd because I needed to impress people. And I was sticking there, and as long as people were smiling or happy, I was okay. And that was a repetition of what I did in the past back home, pleasing everybody. As long as they were okay, I was happy. But it soon knocked me out of my head when I went down and they really weren't there for me. So what is a limiting belief that you have? I felt I had to be there to be something, but I realized that no, I had to self-develop myself so that I could continue doing the work that I needed to do in my area, in my field, and to work with beautiful people like yourself. So I hope that makes sense. Well, it does make sense, let's not hope. And I'll give you 15 minutes to do that exercise. Well done, everybody. I love that group discussion, and it was great to see you working in your groups and really playing full out, because you're here, you've invested your time, you're committed, you want to heal, which we've done the healing, you want to self-develop so that we can finish the final session after the break today on the self-leadership. So we spoke about self-development. Let's just have a quick recap. And we spoke about our physiology, the language patterns, the focus that we use. We spoke about values and limiting beliefs. So I just want to read this little bit of quote to you. Beliefs are our assumptions about the world. Values are how we attribute worth to objects and behaviors. So beliefs could be something that we are practicing because of life experiences, and values are our personal attribution, characteristics, something that we want to be living as. Now, beliefs could also be something that you've got from your family, your friends, or school. And it might not be your own belief. So for example, let me just get you a really good example. So a personal belief could be murdering somebody is wrong. And that's a belief we have, whereas somebody might think it's okay to kill somebody. And we've seen that in abuse, we've seen that in violence, we've seen that You know, in very domestic violence situation, it's not okay to kill somebody. You don't own somebody to finish off their life, yet some people believe that that's the case. That's not our belief. However, there are a lot of children out there in the world that believe violence is okay. There are children that have been brought up in a violent family home, whether it's between the parents or whether it's between their siblings, and when they grow up, or even at that stage, they think it's okay to abuse somebody. I recently watched a movie, and it was a true story in America. I can't remember the name of it, but it was about a girl where a family were looking after two young girls, and the mother had mental health issues. But if anything ever happened to her own children, she would abuse the children that she was fostering for and who she'd get the money for. And because her little young children saw her abusing these girls, they thought it was okay to do as well. So they'd be kicking and putting cigarette butts on her and throwing water on them and punching them. And a true story, they all got life imprisonment, even the little one, because he just thought it was okay to kick somebody, and it was all about having a bit of fun. Now, I'm sorry for the extremity of it, but I think it's really good to understand. Another belief might be that our family says you've got to eat meat 7 days a week, and we grow up to believe that. Well, for me, I don't have to be eating meat 7 days a week. I'm okay to have it 2 or 3 times a week. But for other people that think that that's okay, something happens a few years later, or when they grow up and they realize, no, I don't have to be living this. So your belief system is something that you truly believe, that resonates with your heart, your mind, your soul, and you know that when you have this belief that it really brings joy, passion, even if challenges come, you are living life to the fullest because of your belief system. All right, so this is a short session with me talking because I really want you all to do the values and the belief exercise. When we finish, we're then going to be just coming back into a group discussion, and that will be the end of this self-development area for this workshop. If you're interested in doing more self-development workshops, we go to a next level, and that's more personalized. So depending on the cohort we have, we actually co-design a self-development workshop to meet your needs. So whether it's for you individually in a group, or whether it's for an organization, we do that, and it's at a deeper level. So the 3 questions that you have in there, the first one is about your values. So again, don't just answer it from the cuff of your head. Think about it. Move your body, move your physiology, start thinking about the language patterns that you want to be using. Think about the focus. More importantly, think about the goal. Where do you want to be? What's the outcome that you're looking for in your life, which we're going to cover a lot more in self-development. Because leaders always have goals, leaders always plan, leaders have faith in themselves, and these values actually contribute to that. So start thinking about the value that you want to have. You don't have to have 5, 10, 15. I have 3, and just keep to 2 or 3, and then live them out, apply them, impart the knowledge, go learn things about them, and make sure that they are your core values. Then think about the belief system. So an easy way of doing this exercise is to first identify where you're living with your current beliefs. Then ask the questions, are these mine, or are these things that others have told me, or are these things that was a general assumption that we are going to grow up believing that this is what it is. And then the third exercise is that I want you to do a vision exercise. That if you are in your ideal outcome, so it might be that you're a stay-at-home parent, you're an educator, you're a professional, you've got a business, whatever you're doing, you might be somebody that just volunteers at the local, not just, but doing great work as a volunteer at the local community, What's the outcome, and how do you see you implementing your values in the role, and how do you see your beliefs impacting that as well? Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Beautiful. Okay, so get started. We've got, I'll give you half an hour for this exercise. I'm going to be walking around so that I can help you. If you've got any questions, then reach out and enjoy the session. Thank you.